I caught myself staring before I even realized it. Too long, too openly, the kind of look that makes silence louder than words. She noticed. Of course she did. Her voice came soft, but sharp enough to cut through the moment. "Why are you looking at me like that?" I should have looked away. I should have laughed it off. But instead I said the only thing that felt true. "Because I can't look away." She froze, one hand still resting on the doorknob. I had only come over to fix the broken light on her porch. Just a neighbor helping out, nothing complicated. At least that's how it should have been. She's lived across from me for a year now, always polite, always distant. Mid-40s, confident in a way that makes every movement deliberate. I've seen her laugh with the mailman, fuss with her garden, wave politely when our paths crossed. But tonight was different. The porch light had been dead for weeks, and when she finally asked me for help, I agreed too quickly. Maybe I'd been waiting for a reason to stand this close. The screwdriver slipped twice in my hand. My palms were damp, and it wasn't because of the heat. I could feel her watching me from the doorway, arms folded loosely, eyes tracing me like she was weighing something she hadn't decided yet. "Careful," she murmured when the bulb sparked faintly. I swallowed. "Guess I'm better at breaking things than fixing them." She smiled just barely. The kind of smile you only catch if you're desperate to see it. The new bulb flickered to life, flooding the porch with soft yellow light. I turned, squinting against the glow, and there she was, hair falling loose from behind her ear, shadows carving the lines of her face into something sharper, softer all at once. That's when I stopped. That's when she asked why I was looking, and I gave her the truth. Her breath caught, so quiet I almost thought I imagined it. Then she shifted, her weight on one foot, like she was preparing to step away. "You shouldn't say things like that," she whispered. I nodded, but I didn't move. "You're right." Her eyes lifted back to mine. There was something in them, hesitation, maybe, or the beginnings of something neither of us wanted to admit. "I shouldn't be doing this," she said, the words barely a thread of sound. And I heard myself reply, low, almost desperate, "Neither should I." The night air hung heavy around us, the hum of the porch light filling the silence between words. For a moment, neither of us breathed. Then, without thinking, I stepped down from the chair and stood too close. Close enough to see the faint tremble in her hand as she brushed her hair back, close enough to feel the warmth rolling off her skin. Her hand dropped, almost grazing mine. Almost. The world seemed to narrow until it was just her face, her eyes, the question caught on her lips. I didn't touch her. I didn't dare. But the space between us had changed, and we both knew it. She took half a step back, her voice steadier now, but her eyes betrayed her. "You should go." My throat tightened. "If I go, will you stop thinking about this?" She didn't answer, and in the silence I realized neither of us could. The door was still half open when I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. Not sharp, soft, almost careful. "You fixed more than just the light." I paused, my hand resting on the railing. The words hung there, strange and fragile, and for a second I wasn't sure if I'd imagined them. When I looked back, she wasn't meeting my eyes. Her fingers were tracing the edge of the doorframe, slow and restless, like she needed something to do with her hands. She had just gone through a divorce. I'd heard it from the neighbors in half-whispers, the kind people throw around when they think gossip explains everything. I didn't know the details, only that her husband left 6 months ago, and since then she'd been quieter, pulling into herself. That's what made this feel dangerous. I wasn't supposed to be the one standing here. I wasn't supposed to notice the way her sweater slipped off one shoulder, or how her voice always lowered at night like she was trying not to wake a house that wasn't full anymore. I leaned against the porch post, forcing a smile. Guess I did my good deed for the week. She finally looked at me then, and the porch light caught the tiredness under her eyes. Not ugly, never that. Just human. The kind of weariness you don't admit to, the kind you hide under polite nods and forced smiles. I wanted to say something that mattered. Instead, I said nothing at all. Her silence stretched, long enough that I felt the urge to fill it. My chest was tight, every second heavier than the last. "I don't mind helping," I blurted out. Too fast, too defensive. "Really, it's not a big deal." Her lips curved in something close to a laugh, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You're too young to understand what a big deal is." That stung more than I expected. Maybe. Or maybe I just notice things no one else bothers to. I hadn't meant it as a challenge, but her gaze sharpened like I'd touched something raw. "What do you notice, then?" I hesitated. My mind raced, her chipped nail polish, the faint smell of lavender clinging to her sweater, the way her voice cracked slightly on certain words like she was carrying too much in her throat. Everything. I noticed everything. But all I said was, that you don't let people look at you for too long. Her breath caught, and this time I didn't imagine it. The porch was too bright now, too exposed. She shifted closer to the doorway, and I thought that was the end of it. But then her hand reached out, resting lightly on my arm. Barely a touch, but it burned through me like fire. "You should go," she whispered again, but her hand didn't move. I swallowed hard, my voice rough. "Do you want me to?" Her fingers tightened, not much, but enough. "Stay," she said, so quietly it was almost a secret, and in that moment, I knew I was already in too deep. The air in her living room was too still, too quiet, like even the walls were listening. I sat on the edge of the couch, trying not to sink too far into the warmth of it, while she moved around the kitchen. The sound of running water, a mug clinking against the counter, it all felt louder than it should have. "You didn't have to stay," she said, stepping back in with 2 steaming cups. "You asked me to," I replied, softer than I meant. She set the mugs down on the coffee table, and for a moment her hand lingered on mine as she passed one to me. Accidental, maybe, but it was enough to make me hold my breath. I told myself I should leave, that the longer I stayed, the harder it would be to convince myself this was just kindness, neighborliness, nothing more. But then she sank into the chair across from me, curling her legs beneath her like she was settling in for something she hadn't let herself have in a while. "This feels strange," she admitted, eyes fixed on the rim of her cup. I wanted to ask strange how, but the way her voice cracked on the word told me I already knew. She went on, almost in a whisper. "It's been months since I sat with someone like this. I don't even know how to talk anymore without feeling like I'm saying the wrong thing." Her vulnerability hit me harder than I expected. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. "You don't have to say anything right. You just have to be here." Her eyes lifted to mine, and for the first time, she didn't look away. The moment stretched, tighter and tighter, until the sharp buzz of her phone shattered it. She jumped slightly, fumbling for it on the side table. Her hand froze on the screen, her jaw tensing. "Ex-husband," she muttered, turning it face down without answering. I said nothing. Couldn't. I only watched the way her hands trembled as she set the phone aside, watched the way she blinked too many times as if holding something back. Before I knew it, my hand reached across the table and covered hers. She stiffened, her breath catching, but she didn't pull away. I should have stopped there. I should have let go. Instead, I felt her fingers shift, turning slowly until her palm rested against mine. My pulse thudded in my ears. "This isn't," she started, but the words trailed off. I leaned back, trying to breathe, to find the distance again. But the warmth of her hand lingered. The image of her eyes, lonely, searching, wasn't something I could shake. "You're right," I said finally, forcing the words out. "This shouldn't happen." She drew in a slow breath, studying me carefully, like she was deciding something in her head. Then, almost inaudible, she whispered, "Then why does it feel like it already is?" And I had no answer. Only silence, and the dangerous pull between us that refused to break. Her living room felt smaller than it had an hour ago. The lamp in the corner cast a soft golden glow, but the air between us was anything but warm. I sat forward, my knees almost touching hers, her hands still resting close enough to mine that every breath felt like a choice. She broke first. "Do you know what you're doing?" Her voice wasn't angry, it was frightened. Not of me, but of what might happen if I said the wrong thing. I swallowed hard. I keep telling myself I don't. But then I look at you. I hesitated, the words catching in my throat. And it feels like I've been here before, like I've been waiting for this without realizing it. Her eyes closed briefly, her lips pressing together as if she could will the moment away. "You're too young. You don't know what you want yet." I almost laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. "I know what I want right now." That made her look at me, really look. And in her eyes was the kind of truth that people spend years hiding from. The silence dragged until she leaned back, exhaling shakily. "You think this is about age, but it isn't." "Then what is it about?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she rubbed her hands together slowly, like she was trying to scrub invisible guilt from her skin. "It's about me," she finally whispered. "About everything I've ruined. About how I promised myself I wouldn't let this happen again." The words hit me like a stone. Again, I wanted to ask who, what, when, but I didn't. I could see the regret in the way her shoulders hunched, the way she couldn't quite meet my gaze. I leaned closer, my voice low. "I don't care what you promised yourself. I just want to know if you feel it too." Her chest rose and fell quickly, betraying her even as her lips formed the word, "Don't." The air shifted then. The quiet hum of the fridge in the kitchen, the faint ticking of the wall clock, even my own heartbeat seemed louder. And still I couldn't look away. Her hand moved without warning, brushing against mine as if by accident. But when neither of us pulled away, it was clear it wasn't. "You shouldn't look at me like that," she whispered, echoing the words from the porch. I leaned in just slightly, enough for her to feel it. "Then tell me to stop." Her lips parted, her breath catching, but no words came. The silence between us swelled, sharp and heavy. Every second stretched into forever. Finally, she spoke. Quiet, fragile, but undeniable. "What if I don't want you to?" The question hung there, trembling in the air, and I knew nothing would ever be the same after this. The question she'd left hanging between us. "What if I don't want you to?" Still buzzed in my chest when the sharp knock on the door jolted us both. She pulled her hand back instantly, eyes wide. I straightened, my pulse racing, the heat between us replaced by sudden dread. Another knock, louder this time. Her voice trembled. "It's probably my sister. She drops by unannounced." I stood, halfway to the hallway. I should go. But before I could take another step, she caught my wrist. Just a touch, but her grip was desperate. "No, stay." The door creaked open, and a woman about her age stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. Same eyes, same posture, but sharper, more suspicious. "You didn't answer your phone?" the sister said, dropping her purse on the chair. "So I thought." Her gaze landed on me, her words cut off. I shifted awkwardly, but she didn't look away. She looked from me, to her, back to me again, and the silence carried its own kind of accusation. "Who's this?" She spoke quickly, too quickly. "He's just a neighbor." He helped with the porch light. The sister's brow arched. "At this hour?" I opened my mouth, ready to explain, but her grip on my wrist tightened, just enough to keep me quiet. When the sister finally left, the room felt smaller than before. She slumped against the door, exhaling hard. "She can't know. No one can." I stayed frozen where I stood. "Why not? What are you so afraid of?" Her eyes flashed to mine, and for the first time I saw not just fear but shame. "Because this isn't the first time I've made a mistake like this." The words landed heavy, sharper than I was ready for. My chest tightened, but I forced myself to ask, "What do you mean?" Her voice cracked. "When my marriage started falling apart, I leaned on someone I shouldn't have. He was younger too. It ended badly. And I swore I would never, ever repeat that." The confession stole the air from the room. I wanted to be angry, jealous even, but all I could see was the way she wrapped her arms around herself like she was bracing for impact. I stepped closer, not touching her yet, but close enough that she had to look up at me. "So you think I'm just another mistake?" Her lips parted, but no sound came out. "Say it." I pressed, my voice low. "Say that's all I am, and I'll walk out right now." She blinked hard, a tear slipping free before she could stop it. I can't." My chest ached, a strange mixture of relief and pain. Her voice dropped to a whisper, raw and trembling. "Because the truth is, I don't know what you are to me, but you're not nothing. Not anymore." The room went silent again, but this time it wasn't empty. It was dangerous, charged, and impossible to turn away from. Her words, "You're not nothing. Not anymore," echoed in the room long after she said them. I stood there, heart hammering, trying to steady myself against the weight of it. For once, neither of us looked away. I stepped closer until there was barely space left. "Then stop pretending you don't feel this." She let out a shaky laugh, almost bitter. "You don't know what you're asking." "Yes, I do," I said, softer this time. "I'm asking you to be honest. Just once. With me. With yourself." Her shoulders sagged, the fight draining out of her. "Do you think I haven't tried? Every night I tell myself to ignore it, to shut the door, to not let it get this far. And yet, here you are. And here you want me to be," I whispered. Her silence said enough. The lamp buzzed faintly in the corner. Her hands trembled as she pressed them to her face, dragging them down slowly before meeting my eyes again. "This can't be simple. It won't be." "I don't want simple," I admitted. "I want real, even if it's messy, even if it's wrong." Her breath caught. The tension snapped. She reached for me, not with hesitation this time, but with something fierce, almost desperate. Her hand cupped the side of my face, pulling me closer until her forehead rested against mine. I didn't move, didn't rush. I just closed my eyes and let the closeness swallow me whole. "You scare me," she whispered. "I scare myself," I murmured back. "But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you." The first brush of her lips was tentative, trembling, like she was testing whether the world would fall apart. But when I didn't pull back, when I leaned in just enough, the kiss deepened, raw and unsteady. Two people holding on because they were afraid to let go. When she finally broke away, she stayed close, her breath warm against my cheek. "If this ruins us, it's my fault." I shook my head. "Then let me ruin myself with you." Her laugh was wet, broken, but real. We sat down on the couch, shoulders pressed together, neither of us speaking for a long time. The storm of it all was still there. Age, history, promises broken. But in that silence was something truer than anything I'd felt before. "I don't want to hide from this anymore," she said at last, her voice small but certain. "Then don't," I answered. For the first time since I'd met her, she smiled without trying to hide it. Not polite, not careful, just real. And I knew then that no matter how complicated the road ahead would be, we had already made the choice. Together. I never thought a broken porch light would change my life. But sitting here now, with her beside me, it feels like that flicker was the start of something neither of us could stop. She once told me she was afraid of making another mistake, afraid of repeating a past she couldn't forgive herself for. I saw that weight in her eyes from the beginning, the regret, the walls she built around herself. And maybe I was the last person she should have let in. Too young, too reckless, too untested by the kind of years that had shaped her. But we both learned something in the mess of it. Fear doesn't keep you safe. It only keeps you alone. Looking back, the first spark was almost innocent. A look too long, a silence too charged. Yet every step after, her hand on mine, the confession she tried to bury, the kiss that felt like surrender, brought us here. To this quiet, fragile space where honesty finally outweighed hesitation. She's not just the neighbor anymore. Not just the woman across the street who I once watched from a distance. She's the one who let me see her as she is. Flawed, scared, but real. And maybe that's why I couldn't look away. Because beneath the regret and the rules, I saw the truth of her. And for the first time, she let someone stay. We haven't figured out what comes next. Maybe people will judge. Maybe her sister will keep asking questions she doesn't want to answer. Maybe there will be days when she wonders if she made the wrong choice. But tonight, as she leans her head against my shoulder, I know the choice has already been made. Love doesn't always arrive the way people expect it to. Sometimes it feels too early, too late, too complicated. But maybe that's what makes it real. The fact that it survives the pauses, the stumbles, the fears whispered in the dark. I don't see her as a mistake. I don't see myself as one either. I see us imperfect, tangled, but together. And that's enough. If you've stayed with me through this story, maybe you've felt it too. That moment when you realize you can't keep running from what pulls you closer. So tell me, did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?